AfriForum wants to halt the parliamentary process, as we've just told you, to allow for land expropriation without compensation. It says that this process was flawed. Now, eNCA's Annika Larsen is there for us in Cape Town, and she joins us live. Annika, good morning to you. So talk to us about these arguments. You hinted at them last week, I would say, about in particular these written submissions. What exactly seems to be the argument that AfriForum is putting forward here?
Yes, good morning. AfriForum wants the adoption of the report interdicted and the actual report itself set aside. It was due to be debated and adopted formally in the National Assembly next Tuesday. So AfriForum have come here on an urgent basis. And their chief form of attack is really the, as you correctly said, the written submissions. Now, there were about 750,000 of those, and it was just impossible for MPs to go through each and every one of them. So Parliament hired a data capturing company, which is also a labour brokering company, and so there was some consternation at the time when they came to do their presentation. But they set aside big chunks of some of those written submissions, saying that they'd been sent out from one email server by particular lobby groups. So I think they set aside about 160,000, saying that, for instance, one lobby group had sent 60,000 and another 80,000 and so on, and therefore they counted those as one. So I think that that's going to be one issue. But when it came to the actual writing of the report, overwhelmingly it seemed that from the oral and the public hearings that those people, those South Africans, very much felt that Section 25 of the Constitution, which is enshrined in the Bill of Rights, needed to be amended to allow for the expropriation of land without compensation, and the written submissions told a different story. They said that they agreed there should be a more equitable share of land, but that Section 25 should not be amended, that there was enough provision in the Constitution already, but there had not been the political will or funds to make sure that equal distribution of land had been done properly over the last 20 years. So there was quite a fundamental and substantive difference between the oral and written submissions.
So, Annika, the court case aside, therefore, which, by the way, you've already alluded that it might actually end up at the Constitutional Court. So that aside, where are processes now in terms of the national legislature?
I think it's probably difficult for people outside the legislative process to understand how early on we are in this actual process of amending Section 5, should it be amended. It needs to be first deliberated on in the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces. It needs a 2/3 majority in the National Assembly. It needs 6 out of 9 provinces to agree in the NCOP before Parliament then decides that there needs to be a new public process of participation that, of course, needs to be meaningful, and then it has to set up some kind of committee, an ad hoc committee or the Justice Committee, to actually look at the legislation. And before that can be changed in the Constitution or amended, that has to go through a whole nother section of public hearings. And I think that that's very long, a very long way away in the roadmap ahead. So while there was a big push to get it done, certainly before the closing of the fifth Parliament in May and before elections, it's very unlikely that will happen. And because it's in the Bill of Rights, the test for changing that section of the Constitution, which hasn't happened before, is extremely high. So it's very likely it will go to the Constitutional Court at some stage.
All right, Annika Larsen, our senior reporter outside the Western Cape High Court, where that matter around Section 25 of the Constitution